SoFi and stock market investors, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason. In today's video, I'm going to break down for all of you today why you should not be selling your SoFi shares. I'm not selling my shares, and I'm going to go through every reason why I'm not selling my shares no matter what the market does. Even if SoFi goes down to $20, $15, I'm not selling. I'm only going to buy more. Here's why. All right, all my SoFi investors, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, and if the hype button is available, make sure you hit that as well. And if you want more killer stock market information and SoFi updates, you got to subscribe to the channel, but make sure you watch the whole thing so you can see all the value we're bringing to you guys each and every week. If you take a look at your screen right now, I'm going to break down why I am not selling my SoFi shares no matter what happens in the near term. All right. SoFi Technology, pretty good day there today, up around 3.5%. And what a year it's been. Year to date, up 81%. I absolutely love that. Over the last calendar year from today, up 73%. 5 years, man, we dipped down huge and then we came back like an MF, guys. What a great last 12 to 16 months it's been for SoFi investors. Just so everyone knows, I do own around 6,000 shares. I got $300 shares, in this little Robinhood account. In my big dog account, we have around 5,500 shares. So we're going to go over valuation, some key metrics I want you guys to think about as you make your decision on whether or not you should sell your SoFi shares. Look at this market cap, guys, just continuing to grow quarter after quarter. It's been remarkable, from $8 billion up to $33 billion market cap. And with that market cap, guys, comes a lot of really great things for SoFi stock in the future, with a potential S&P 500 inclusion on the horizon here, guys. Trailing PE around 46. It's a little high right now. Forward PE coming in around 44. If I'm going to buy more shares of SoFi, I want to get the PE under 40. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Anything under $25, I'll be nibbling away. At $20 or below is when I'm going to start really buying blocks of SoFi stock. PEG ratio, right around 2, which is not bad. You know, it was up to almost 3.5 not too long ago, back in June. But anything under 2 is a good deal with the growth, in my opinion. Price to sales coming in a little rich compared to, back in 2024. Price to book around 3. We want to get that under 3 for buying opportunities, right? So, man, the profit margins coming in around 19%. Operating margins the last 12 months coming in at 15%. Really good stuff coming out of SoFi. The revenue, guys, we're closing in on $4 billion in revenue for trailing 12 months. If you're new to investing, that's what this little TTM stands for right there. I'm really happy with everything that's going on. Total cash, $3.2 billion. SoFi just did a public offering for $1.5 billion worth of shares. We'll get into that a little later and explain to you what I think that is in store with that for SoFi and its investors, right? So here we go. Share statistics, always really important stuff here, guys. Shares short, 117 million. Short ratio there. Short percent of the float, under 10%. That's where we want to be. It was at 15, 16, almost 20% at some points in the last couple of years. I want to get that under 7.5%, and I'll be really, really happy as a SoFi investor, because the lower the short float percentage is, the better off we'll be long term. Here's the moving averages, right? If you're into that, the advanced metrics, 200-day moving average at 20, 50-day moving average at 28.16. So yeah, $20 is definitely the buy range for me when you look at the advanced metrics here for SoFi stock. Now, we're going to get into what's actually going on with the business here, guys. Here it is. Here's that $1.5 billion offering. They sold 54 million shares. So we did get diluted, but we did hold the stock price because they issued it at $27.50. So these shares were gobbled up by institutional investors, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. But if these institutions, guys, are buying at that $27.50 range, that's kind of a buy zone for retail investors like ourselves, right? Because these big time institutions aren't buying at $27.50 for the stock to go to $30, $35 over the next couple of years. They want to double their money. They want $27.50 to be chump change, getting into that $50, $60, $70 range. Right? That's why they want to buy these shares. And they also have a 30-day option period to purchase an additional 8.1 million shares of common stock at the $27.50 price. So if it does run up in the near term, right, since these shares were issued, they do have the option to buy them at the $27.50 stock price, right? It's expected to close December 8th, which was a couple of weeks back. So I don't know if they're going to end up buying these 8 million other shares, but I do think there's something big on the horizon for SoFi. They're not just, raising $1.5 billion to like pay off some outstanding debt, in my opinion. And if they are paying off debt, what they're going to do is optimize that debt for more purchases, whether it's smaller businesses, crypto brokerages, who knows what is on the horizon. They could be buying up smaller banks. This is a consolidation period. We always see these ebbs and flows with banks where the big banks start eating up the small banks, man. We could be there very soon with SoFi stock. They're just doing tons of really interesting things right now. They offered a new SoFi Smart Card, the best all-in-one account, back on December 10th. They just launched on the 18th yesterday. SoFi launches fully reserved stable coin to power financial infrastructure for banks, fintechs, and enterprise partners. Really good stuff. And these stablecoins deliver regulatory strength, transparency, and institutional infrastructure, right? Anthony Noto is quoted by saying, blockchain is a technology super cycle that will fundamentally change finance, not just in payments, but across every area of money. So by launching these stablecoins, they're trying to strengthen their overall bank and give reserve transparency and create an infrastructure where transferring of funds becomes easier and cheaper for all of its members. A really, really exciting time to be an investor in SoFi, guys. Now, here's the Q3 2025 investor presentation. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights for us here. Record adjusted net revenue of $950 million. That's up 38% year over year. And for SoFi to be growing their net revenue at around 40% after it's already been growing for so long, for years over year and quarter after quarter consistently, it's quite remarkable when you take a look at the whole picture in totality, right? Record adjusted EBITDA at $227 million, 29% adjusted EBITDA margin. Really, really good stuff. Fee-based revenue of $409 million. That's up 50% year over year. And fee-based revenue is consistent revenue that we can rely on quarter after quarter and year after year. So if those business models continue to grow, that's very exciting for SoFi investors. Record adjusted EPS at 11 cents, guys. This is just such a great time to be a SoFi investor. So don't buy into the fear. You want to be cautious, right? Because the overall economy is in a very unstable spot with these tariffs and with unemployment creeping up towards 5%. 5% is the danger zone, so that's something you have to take into consideration. There could be a sell-off in the overall market over the next 12 to 18 months, but we got to look at that as a buying opportunity. And if you think that is the case, you could sell covered calls for every 100 shares of SoFi that you have and collect a little premium along the way. So tangible book value growth of $1.9 billion quarter over quarter to $7.2 billion. Quite remarkable. Total deposits grew $3.4 billion quarter over quarter to $33 billion. Before you know it, guys, that's going to be $50 billion in deposits, and then soon, not after that, $100 billion. Remarkable stuff what's going on here. And this is a one-stop digital financial services company. All these different platforms, members, banking, credit card, invest, loans. I am a member of SoFi. I do use the banking and credit card, and we get a great APY on all of my savings from being a member there, guys. It's really good stuff. And this loot, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. This is what, in my opinion, differentiates us from Robinhood, who is so dependent on crypto and the fees they collect from people trading their crypto. There's SoFi Money, Invest, Credit Card, Protect, Relay, At Work, Platform Business, Personal Loans, Student Loans, Home Loans, and now they're getting into big business loans, which is really good as well. I'm just really excited as a SoFi investor. I think the sky is the limit for what Anthony Noto is creating here at SoFi. And in 5 years from now, if this stock was $100 to $200, I would not be surprised at all whatsoever. So we are in the accumulation phase, guys. Member growth is ridiculous. Compound annual growth rate of 50%. I mean, it's remarkable. 905,000 new members, 35% growth. I mean, it's crazy, guys. And not only are we just getting members, because the products are growing as well, right? So as long as members and products continue to grow symbiotically, that is a great thing moving forward. Adjusted net revenue continues to expand quarter after quarter and year over year. 38% year over year growth, guys, is remarkable. And, we had a little down year in 2024, but we've re-accelerated that here in 2025. Adjusted EBITDA up and to the right, adjusted net income up and to the right. All these things are putting SoFi in a position to be a monster in the banking space and really take banking into the next century, right? I think a lot of these old banks with the brick and mortars are going to be left behind, and they're going to be following SoFi and what they're doing over the coming years. We've already started to see that as well. Tons of banking locations, especially the brick and mortars, are closing all over the country. And I think SoFi's business model is proving that you don't need a physical facility to go into. It's good to have them from here to there, but there's nothing they can't do for you remotely, and that is a huge benefit for SoFi and its members. The diversified revenue is another reason why I love this company, right? The fee-based revenue is really impressive what they're doing here, guys. And the long-term approach, I mean, everything that we're doing here, the strong returns on the tangible book value is just exponentially growing, and earnings per share at 11 cents. We're hitting our stride right now in a time where banking regulation is going to be turned back with the Republicans being in office. They always deregulate, right? So this is a great time to get on the ground floor in a bank that's going to really transform banking, in my opinion, right, guys? And here, back to the institutional investors that we were talking about a little bit earlier. 1,240 institutional investors own SoFi stock. 1169 are long only, 28 short only, and 43 long/short. Those 28 short onlys are getting destroyed right now. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. 671 million shares of SoFi are now owned by institutions. That's closing in on 54%. Not long ago, it was in that 40% range. And we could see by this graph, as institutions pile in, I know it's hard to see this line down here, but that's the stock price. And this bar graph is what institutions are gobbling up here, guys, in shares. And we can see since December of 2022, it's up and to the right. Institutions are piling in. And guess what, guys? As institutions pile in and buy up these cheap retail shares that have been sold onto the open market, the stock continues to explode. It touched $32 a share. It's at $25 now. That's like already a 20% sell-off, right? So, anything in that 15 to 20% sell-off range is always a buying opportunity long-term, in my opinion, guys. I'm very excited what's going on with SoFi right now. And I just want to go over some of the big names real quick that own SoFi and how many shares they own. JP Morgan increased their stake by over 1,000%. 46 million shares owned. Vanguard owns them in tons of their different index funds. Just in the total stock market one, they own 33 million shares. Susquehanna International owns tons of shares. Here's the small cap, another 25 million. So just in these two funds, you're talking, close to 60 million shares owned. Coyote Capital is in there with 21 million shares. UBS Group, Bank of America owns 12 million shares. Royal Bank of Canada's getting in. Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, Wells Fargo, ARK Invest, so Royal Bank of Canada. So that's an options play right there. So all of these banks are buying SoFi stock, right? So you got to, if you can't beat them, join them type of situation. Like if you can't beat them, with your products. You're going to invest in the company and make money. And that's what these banks are doing right now and buying a ton of shares on the open market right now. And they're starting to load up whenever we're starting to see a depressed stock price, right? And this Vanguard Financial Index Fund Admiral shares, that's for 401ks. So this number is going to continue to go up over time, in my opinion. And that's going to be a big, big number. I think it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 million shares in the coming years, which is great. You get a little exposure in your 401k. Schwab has them in the U.S. large cap ETF. And then once they get in the S&P 500, dude, all of these ETFs, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of these, JP Morgan's, Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, S&P 500 ETFs that are going to be forced to buy shares of SoFi, guys. Just one of the many reasons why I love SoFi stock. And if you go over to Simply Wall Street, take a look at their valuation, right? What some of the metrics that I love to see is the earnings are forecasted to grow another 23%. The earnings grew 247% over the past year. We take a look at the ownership. This is a little delayed from Fintel, but I do like to see the change in percentage of like all these companies. BlackRock up 27%, DE Shaw up 19%, State Street Global up 30%. So you get to see, who's buying, who's shedding some shares, just a good way. JP Morgan up 103%. And we're going to show you guys over the long term, if you subscribe to the channel, everything that's going on with SoFi above and under the surface, all these things that are happening, all these institutional investors that continue to buy the stock. I mean, this chart says it all right here, guys. If that's the put call ratio, my bad. I clicked on the wrong thing. But right here, I mean, this is what the institutions are doing, guys. Why would you sell your shares right now? They just did a $1.5 billion offering at $27.50. If institutions are buying at that price, why would you sell at that price? That makes no sense. That's why I'm not selling my shares. This is not financial advice, but I'm laying out all the reasons why I am not selling my shares. And I think it's a good idea to take a deeper look into SoFi, find out what they're actually doing, and you could start to see what me and other SoFi investors like in this company. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.